All right, so here's the long-awaited, my experience driving an EV, electric vehicle, while doing gig work. It's been a long process in figuring it out for me because it did not work out originally like I thought it would. The dealership told me that I would be able to have 2 years, that's 2 years of free charging. What the dealership didn't tell me was that there was only one charger for that company that was giving the free charging, and it was in Independence, Missouri, which is like 45 minutes away from where I live and where I work. So that put a quick damper, and of course I didn't find this out till like after I signed the papers, okay? So I decided I would try charging at home, and we would look into having a level 2 charger put in the garage so I could just charge overnight. I live with my sister and her husband, and so there was just some complications with me doing it there, and it was going to be really expensive to even put a 220 outlet in the garage, because I was going to have to run the wiring from one side of the house all the way over to the other side of the house. So, you know, it was just an unfortunate situation that I got myself into and didn't realize I wasn't going to be able to do the free charging or the charging at home. So I'm stuck charging at the like the commercial DC3 superchargers anytime I need to charge. So that's been a lot more expensive than I thought it was going to be. You know, I went from thinking I was going to have free charging for 2 years to paying so far like between $470 and $570 a month. So as far as that goes, it didn't turn out it just didn't turn out the way, you know, I had expected it to. And so, you know, I just kind of have to go with the flow and, you know, charge at a supercharger every day. I have found that the colder the temperature is outside, then that means your battery is cold. It means the superchargers are cold, and then it affects the speed at which your car charges. So, and I mean, it wasn't horrible, but like today it's 70 degrees out, and so I was at 35% battery left, and it's taking about 22 minutes to charge my battery. For a while I was doing it at the dealership, but they only had like a 62 kilowatt charger, and it was taking me an hour and a half to almost 2 hours when I wanted to charge, you know, from 20% or something like that up to 100%. But it was very cheap. It wasn't costing me hardly anything because that charger only charged me 17 cents per kilowatt hour. These superchargers, they charge anywhere from like 48 to 58 cents per kilowatt hour. So, you know, that's kind of a big difference. And like I said, now, like the last month, the month of January, I spent $571 and some change on charging. And a lot of it was due to the really, really, really cold weather that we had. So I would be at, say, 30%, and I would charge up to 80%, and I would only get like 125 to 130 miles out of that charge. It was costing me $18 or more, you know. So just, it adds up really fast when the weather's cold. And I was having to charge twice a day when the weather was that cold, because the cold eats your battery up. And I was getting so frustrated and so aggravated because I was not able to do things that I wanted to do while I was working because my battery wouldn't last that long. So yeah, like I said, it was pretty frustrating there for a while with the cold weather. So now that it's warmer, at least for the moment, I mean, we're in February. I'm sure it's going to get cold again, but we're having some warm weather right now. So I think it's going to be a lot cheaper when the weather's warmer. So another thing I found out too is like these stations here are EVgo stations. In the Kansas City area, there's about 4 different areas that you can go to charge your vehicle on their network. And one of them is here at the Oak Park Mall, which I go to all the time, and I kind of sit around in this area, so it's perfect. And then another spot is about, I don't know, 6 or 7 miles towards my house, but further south. But those are the only 2 close superchargers in my area. But yeah, there's not very many charging stations around. So the thing is with the EVgo stations or their network is you can pay like, I think it's like almost $14 a month, and then it makes the price per kilowatt cheaper. So like, I think the cheapest is 28 cents per kilowatt hour, and the most expensive is 38 cents per kilowatt hour. And it breaks down into the time of day. So the cheapest, of course, is going to be from like midnight till 8 a.m. And then I think the other one is going to be from like 8 a.m. till 2 p.m. And that's, I think, 34 cents per kilowatt hour. And then from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. or 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's 38 cents per kilowatt hour. So it's fairly expensive because, like, if I charged at home in the Kansas area, they charge 13 cents per kilowatt hour, for any electricity you use at your house. So, that's a big difference between 13 cents per kilowatt hour and 38 cents per kilowatt hour. That's almost tripled, right? So it's way cheaper to charge at home. It's way more convenient to charge at home because you can usually just plug it in when you get home at night, and then by the next morning, it's enough power to charge your car overnight and be ready the next morning. So that was just really convenient. I did it for about 2 weeks at home, and then I couldn't do it any longer after that. I also learned too, and this was kind of after the cold weather, because I started looking up some stuff, is there something I can do to make my battery charge faster so I'm not sitting for 45 minutes, when it's cold out? And I guess on the navigation, I can set those 2 spots that I like to charge in. I can set those up where I can just automatically, click directions to that spot, and then my car will automatically start warming up the battery for me. Now, it does take away from the amount of charge you have left on your battery, so if you're really close, it won't even work. Like, it won't even start warming the battery for you because it needs it to get to your location. If you're only like 5 minutes from the charger, it's not going to help. But if you're 15 to 20 minutes away from the charger, and you can remember to do it ahead of time, and you have enough battery charge left, then it'll start warming your battery up for you. And then when you get to the charger, it will charge quicker because the battery's warm. So I just learned that right after this last cold spell we had with all the snow and stuff. So I think that's going to be very helpful to know that information. And EVgo has an app that you actually use. You can set up a credit card inside the app. So all you have to do, so you have to become a member and you pay that $14 a month and then you get the cheaper rates. But then all you have to do is pull up to the charger, plug it in, and just wait for it to connect. And you don't have to fool with charge cards or anything like that to get the charger to work. So it's really handy. So I just pull up, plug in, and it charges. So yeah, that's really nice to have that. So I'm not sure what other questions you guys might have about charging and driving an EV to do gig work. Maybe a good question is, would I buy another one while I'm doing this? I don't know. It's a toss-up because there's definitely pros and cons. It's a really nice car. It's really quiet. I get tons of comments about my car constantly. They are more expensive. But on the flip side, you've got the charging. If you're not able to charge at home, then you've got that charging situation to deal with on a daily basis. Right now I'm trying to just charge once a day in the afternoon, about midday, and then it'll get me through the evening and then through my morning and lunch rush. So so far it's working pretty well. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. If I guess I'm going to put it this way. If you're thinking about buying an EV to do gig work in, and you're able to charge at home, or you live in a warm area like Florida or Arizona or Texas, something like that, I would say an EV would work fine for you. This car, it's a dual motor, it is so fast. It has great pickup. It's amazing. It's a very nice car. If you do it part-time, I would say you're not going to have any issues. But full-time, not charging at home, it takes some planning and it takes some getting used to. Okay, guys, I'm going to finish up what I was saying about my EV experience. I got hot. I needed to take my jacket off. I had to take a potty break, and now I'll get back to it. So as far as what I've spent on maintenance and repairs for my car so far, I bought it in September of last year, September 1st, and I had to replace the passenger side window because it got hit by a rock or something and I got a chip in it, and I just had to pay my deductible on that. It was $250, and then I got a screw in one of my tires, and so I had to have it replaced because it was in a spot where you couldn't just repair it. And that was like $434 just for one tire, one freaking tire. So, I'm gonna have to times that by 4 and plan on at least spending, what, $1,200 a year on tires. So, that adds up really fast. That's $100 a month right there. So, well, I'm not quite sure what to expect yet as far as repairs on an electric vehicle once, the car gets older and more miles on it and that type of thing. So, I'm a little nervous about that, but I'm hoping I have enough money saved up, by then that it's not going to matter. So, because I don't have, hardly any maintenance or repairs on it right now. So that's a pro right there as far as an EV. But I just finished charging, so I was gonna let you guys know kind of what the cost was on that. Let me get over here to it. So I put in a little over 48 kilowatts, and it cost me $20.20. So if I had done that at home, I'm just going to compare the two for you. Times 0.13, it would have cost me $6.24. So you can see that's 3 times as much. You can see the difference right there. So I would say if you're not able to charge at home, it's not worth getting the EV, to be honest with you. It's really not worth it. You know, so that's like $6.24 a day. Let's say for 30 days, it'll cost you about $187 and some change. You know, just depending on how much you use during the day. Mine is usually around 48 kilowatts, 43 to 48 kilowatts per day that I use. So it would definitely be a lot cheaper for me if I could, you know, charge at home. I mean, you've got the initial cost of the, you know, level 2 charger, but you can get those for anywhere between $200 and $300. They're not just the simple, you know, plug into the wall, plug into your car ones. They have fancier ones that you can program and talk to and do all kinds of stuff with. So those are a lot more expensive, but you know, you have the option at least. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as my experience with it. It hasn't been horrible. It's cost me more than I thought it would, but I love the car. I don't know if you guys have any other questions for me. I think I covered pretty much everything as far as, you know, the cost and what to expect, and, you know, the battery charging situation. So cold weather, hot weather, which I didn't know existed, so that was something I learned after the fact. So, but yeah, there's, you know, just do some research on different ones. I would definitely not buy a vehicle that would only take a 100 kilowatt supercharger. I would make sure that it accepts a 350 kilowatt supercharger, because you're going to get a faster charge with the 350 than you are with the 100. And you're not going to get as many miles or range from the 100 kilowatt smaller vehicle than like a larger one, like a Tesla or this Hyundai Ioniq 5 that I have. You just have to be careful and make sure you do your research before you buy one. Don't do like I did and just walk in there and looking for a hybrid, and they sold me an electric vehicle. So that's pretty much how it went. So, but they sold me on the 2-year free charging, so not really my fault. Anyway, that's my thoughts. That's my experience. If you guys have any questions for me, be sure to put them in the comments, and or you can email me at gigmoneymadness@gmail.com. I'll put that in the description below. But just let me know on a video that you sent me an email, because I don't always go out there and check that email every day. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video.